Fernando Alonso may not always have the fastest car on the Formula One grid anymore, but many engineers and strategists still consider him one of the smartest drivers in the sport. While raw speed often gets the attention, intelligence behind the wheel can be just as important, especially in modern Formula One, where races are decided by strategy, tyre management, and technical decisions as much as pure pace. Alonso's career has lasted across multiple eras of Formula One, yet even today teams still rely on his judgment and feedback more than almost any other driver. The real question is not simply whether Alonso is experienced, it's what exactly makes him one of the smartest drivers in Formula One, and why that intelligence still gives him an advantage even against younger competitors. One of the first signs of Alonso's intelligence appears in the way he reads races as they unfold. Many drivers focus primarily on driving as fast as possible, but Alonso constantly evaluates the bigger picture during a race. He adjusts pace depending on tyre conditions, fuel load, and traffic, often making decisions that only become clear several laps later. Instead of pushing aggressively at all times, Alonso often controls races by managing pace strategically. This ability allows him to extract maximum performance over entire stints rather than individual laps. Watching Alonso on track often reveals subtle changes in speed and positioning that reflect long-term planning rather than short-term reactions. Race awareness is one of Alonso's strongest abilities. He constantly tracks the positions and strategies of other drivers, using that information to make decisions in real time. Alonso often anticipates how races will develop rather than simply reacting to events after they occur. This awareness allows him to position the car in ways that reduce risk while maximizing opportunities. For example, Alonso often adjusts pace to avoid losing time in traffic or to create space for pit stops. These adjustments are often invisible to viewers, but can make significant differences over a race distance. But Alonso's intelligence becomes even more visible when tyre management becomes critical. Modern Formula One tyres operate within extremely narrow temperature and wear windows. Drivers must balance speed against tyre degradation, and poor tyre management can destroy performance over long stints. Alonso has repeatedly demonstrated an ability to extend tyre life while maintaining competitive pace. Instead of pushing aggressively early in a stint, he often builds pace gradually while monitoring tyre behaviour. This approach allows him to maintain consistent performance when rivals begin to struggle with degradation. Tyre management requires constant adjustment of driving style. Small changes in throttle application, braking force, and steering input affect tyre temperatures and wear rates. Alonso's smooth driving style helps maintain stable tyre temperatures, allowing him to preserve grip over longer distances. Engineers often emphasize that tyre performance depends not only on setup but also on driver inputs, and Alonso's ability to adapt those inputs helps maintain performance across changing conditions. However, Alonso's intelligence is not limited to tyre management. Another area where his thinking stands out is defensive driving. Alonso has built a reputation as one of the most difficult drivers to overtake, not because he blocks aggressively, but because he positions the car intelligently. Effective defensive driving requires understanding where overtaking attempts are most likely and placing the car in positions that limit opportunities without losing excessive time. Alonso often defends by controlling corner entry lines and exit speeds, forcing rivals into less effective overtaking positions. One of Alonso's most effective defensive techniques involves managing doctors zones. Instead of simply trying to pull away from rivals, Alonso sometimes adjusts pace to keep competitors just outside effective overtaking range. This approach allows him to maintain position even against faster cars. Managing doctors' gaps requires careful pace control and awareness of rival strategies. Alonso's ability to manage these situations reflects a deep understanding of race dynamics. But Alonso's intelligence extends beyond racecraft into technical understanding. Modern Formula One cars are extremely complex machines, and drivers must work closely with engineers to optimize performance. Alonso is widely respected for his ability to provide detailed and accurate technical feedback. Drivers who understand how setup changes affect performance can help engineers improve cars more effectively. Alonso's feedback often focuses on how the car behaves under different conditions, helping engineers identify areas where performance can be improved. Technical feedback becomes particularly important during development phases. Engineers rely on driver input to interpret test data and simulation results. Alonso's experience across multiple teams and regulation eras gives him a broad understanding of car behavior. This experience allows him to recognize patterns and problems that less experienced drivers might miss. Engineers often value drivers who can describe car behavior precisely because that information helps guide development decisions. Another aspect of Alonso's intelligence is adaptability. Many drivers perform best with cars that match their preferred driving styles. Alonso has shown an unusual ability to adapt to different car characteristics throughout his career. Whether driving cars with strong front-end grip or more stable rear balance, Alonso has remained competitive across different technical eras. Adaptability requires understanding how driving inputs affect car behavior and adjusting techniques accordingly. Adaptability also requires mental flexibility. Drivers must adjust to changing track conditions, weather variations, and strategic situations. Alonso often demonstrates an ability to adjust quickly, maintaining performance even when conditions change unexpectedly. This flexibility allows him to extract performance in situations where others struggle. Strategic thinking is another key part of Alonso's intelligence. Modern Formula One races involve complex decisions about pit stops, tyre choices, and energy management. Drivers must work with engineers and strategists to make decisions under time pressure. Alonso often participates actively in these decisions, providing input that reflects both track conditions and race developments. This collaboration helps teams optimize strategies more effectively. Strategic intelligence becomes particularly important in situations where races do not follow predictable patterns. Safety cars, weather changes, and unexpected events can disrupt planned strategies. Alonso's ability to adapt strategies during races allows him to exploit opportunities that others miss. This ability often allows him to finish ahead of cars that appear faster on paper. Alonso's intelligence also appears in qualifying sessions. While qualifying is often seen as a test of raw speed, strategy still plays a role. Alonso often positions himself carefully on track to maximize tyre preparation and avoid traffic. Preparing tyres effectively requires understanding how tyre temperatures change over out laps. Alonso's preparation laps often show careful control of speed and braking to achieve optimal tyre temperatures before timed laps. But perhaps Alonso's most important strength is anticipation. Instead of reacting to events after they occur, Alonso often predicts how situations will develop. Anticipation allows drivers to make smoother adjustments and avoid sudden corrections. For example, Alonso often adjusts lines and braking points based on how track conditions evolve during races. Anticipation reduces mistakes and improves consistency over long distances. Consistency is another defining feature of Alonso's driving. Elite drivers must maintain performance across entire race distances while minimizing errors. Alonso's lap times often remain extremely stable across long runs, reflecting consistent control of pace and tyre performance. Consistency allows drivers to maximize results even when cars are not competitive enough to fight for victories. Alonso's intelligence may become even more important in the future, particularly with the arrival of the 2026 Formula One regulations. The new rules will introduce active aerodynamics and power units that rely heavily on electrical energy. Drivers will need to manage energy deployment carefully throughout each lap, balancing performance with battery recovery. Energy management will become a central part of race strategy rather than purely an engineering task. Active aerodynamic systems will also require drivers to adapt to changing car balance throughout each lap. Switching between aerodynamic configurations will alter handling characteristics, requiring drivers to adjust inputs constantly. Drivers who adapt quickly to changing conditions may gain advantages under these rules. These changes could reward drivers with strong technical understanding and strategic thinking. Alonso's experience and adaptability may allow him to remain competitive even as Formula One evolves. While younger drivers may have advantages in reaction speed, intelligence and experience often compensate for small differences in raw pace. But the real reason Alonso remains one of the smartest drivers in Formula One is not any single skill. It is the combination of race awareness, tyre management, defensive intelligence, technical understanding, adaptability, and strategic thinking that makes him unique. Each of these abilities contributes small advantages that accumulate over entire races and seasons. Being the smartest driver in Formula One is not about making dramatic decisions. It is about making the correct small decisions repeatedly. Alonso's ability to make those decisions consistently is what allows him to remain competitive even against younger drivers with similar speed. The biggest question is not whether Alonso is still intelligent behind the wheel. The evidence clearly shows he is. The real question is whether modern Formula One will continue to reward intelligence as much as speed. Because if the sport becomes more complex under the 2026 regulations, drivers who understand races deeply may gain even greater advantages. And that possibility may be the biggest reason Fernando Alonso remains one of the smartest drivers in Formula One.